Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Point Man Podcast. I am your host, John Imperial, and of course, Phil Pelletier is here with me tonight. Phil, what's going on, man?
Hey, John, how you doing tonight? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, just a long day at work and decided to do this with you tonight, so.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. What are you drinking?
Tonight, I have a new beer I have not tried yet. Hang on.
What is that?
This is called Double Clip from Stoneface Brewery down off the seacoast in New Hampshire, so we're going to give it a shot.
Have you been there yet? The actual brewery itself? It's pretty nice. I've been there.
I have never been there. I've driven by it. Never been there, driven by it, but I'm looking forward to it. Do they do a brewery tour there?
They must. I'd assume that they would.
Yeah. No. First taste, it's very good. It's a good double IPA.
Cool.
And it says limited release, but hopefully they make it a permanent release.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Tonight I got some of that Texas Pride vodka with a little bit of Sprite. It's actually the vodka itself. I did a tour. I don't even know what you call a vodka tour, not brewery tour, but I mean I did distillery tour. There we go. Okay,
yeah.
Get with it, John. So I did a distillery tour when I was down stationed in San Antonio.
Okay.
And this guy he was making vodka out of like barrels, like 55-gallon plastic barrels and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Plastic, not wood.
No, plastic. I think that he was so like brand new, dude. It was one of those. It was a Groupon package that I got for like something to do in the weekend when we finally got released or whatever, and
try it out. Why not?
Exactly. So it was like, I don't know, for a few of us to go, it was a couple bucks at Groupon, brand new startup, and it's actually the vodka itself is made out of cactus leaves.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's pretty cool because I'm pretty like.
Don't they make like peyote the same way or something like that?
Fuck, dude. They might. I don't know. It's very possible that they could.
Something like that out there.
Yeah, right. And it was pretty cool. I mean, the guy was, I think he had worked at Tito's for a little bit. I think.
Yeah, I'm sure he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and it was. I mean,
you hope it wasn't just a University YouTube brewery.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was pretty good. The guy made some drinks, but he's over there like signing our bottle and actually putting the sticker onto the bottle itself. It was worth it.
That's cool.
For what it was. But yeah, actually, it doesn't taste that bad at all. Because some vodka, especially, I mean, I think he was selling these bottles for like $15 a piece, but cheap vodka can taste like crap essentially, and it actually tastes pretty good, especially for being cactus.
Yeah, I think there's like cheap vodka and and then there's like just an everyday run-of-the-mill vodka and it's great, and I've probably never had a good one, you know what I mean? I consider Tito's good. I drink that.
Tito's is one of the best.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, tonight we have with us a officer from New Jersey. He goes by the name of Luis Vasquez. Luis, what's going on, my man?
John, what's happening? Hey, Phil, thanks, guys, for having me today on Point
Man.
Lewis. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. What do you have in front of you tonight to drink?
I have a Poland Spring, and I have a Miller Lite.
Oh, there you go. Good old-fashioned Miller Lite, huh?
You can't go wrong with a Miller.
No, you can't at all.
It's like your go-to.
Exactly. Has that always been your go-to drink?
No, well, when I don't have a double IPA in front of me, so I'm a big fan of IPAs. We have some great local breweries by us in here in New Jersey. We have Brick City, Bolero Snout. I mean, we got so many. Impact Wrench. And then Phil turned me on recently to the IPAs up there by you guys.
Oh, awesome.
And, he's been sending them down. So it's like we almost like box each other. He boxes me some up there, sends them down, and vice versa. So
yeah, we do a good trade.
Yeah, it's it. We do. It's like IPA trading. That's it.
You have to. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten exposed to like even West Coast styles beers if there wasn't a West Coast style brewery that opened up to us, and I freaking love it.
Oh yeah. No, it's great. The hoppier the better for me. I'm just getting turned on now to like these summer ones, like the shandies and stuff like that. And
you gotta love
it. It's great. It's great. Listen, you get a good steak, you get a barbecue going, you got beers. It's the American thing. I love it.
Exactly right. Exactly. Now, how long you been you been down in New Jersey your entire life?
No, actually. So I was born in North Carolina. I was an Army brat. My dad was in the 82nd.
No shit, huh?
And
What years was he in?
He was in the 70s. He was in 72 to just after I was born.
Okay.
So he was going to make a career out of it, and then of course money back in those days was great. So he ended up doing insurance sales while he was in there. He worked for Prudential for a little bit, and then he switched to his old business where he did general contracting down in Florida, and
cool.
Ran his own business and stuff like that. So
what did he actually do when he was in the Army?
He was a paratrooper. He was in the 82nd.
What?
And he did a few things. Actually, he did missions over in well, he told me, and his DD-214 is pretty impressive. But he did missions over in South America.
Oh, cool.
Back then, they had a bunch of drug stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked doing stuff like that. So I still have some pictures of back in the day. It's pretty cool to look at. They're all old, but good memories. Good memories.
That's awesome. Now that you moved to New Jersey a little after you were down in North Carolina or South Carolina.
Yeah. So my parents, unfortunately, I mean, they got divorced. So my mom's family's from up in Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
and so we went up there, and he went down to Florida, and that's when he started his contracting business. And it was good. I would go down in the summer, spend summers in Miami. Who wouldn't want that? And,
right. Try not to get in trouble way down there.
Right? As a kid, yeah. I go to South Beach every summer. Although now I'd appreciate it more as I'm older.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Than when I was younger. But no, great memories. My parents were great. They actually worked well together to raise us, even though it was distant.
Yeah.
And so Jersey, that's where I got brought to Fairlawn, New Jersey, and that's where I'd been since I was like 7 years old. So
awesome. So New Jersey kid, technically.
Technically, my social would say otherwise, but yeah, no, technically, Jersey.
Cool. Now, where'd you get your interest in policing?
Yeah, so I had a great uncle that was a state trooper, Richie Farrow, and a big mentor to me who was actually shot and killed in the line of duty back in 2003.
No, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, thank you. I really looked up to her as a kid. Her name was Marianne Calora, and she was a Fairlawn officer. And when I was in like 5th grade, I always knew I wanted to be a cop. It was like just one of those things,
Mm-hmm.
You see it and you want to do it. And I remember in 5th grade, I lived right across the street from Marianne was friends with somebody across the street, and she would always bring her car there during her lunch break. And sure enough, one day, I'd always go outside, I'd look at the car, check it out, walk around it, dream about like the future.
Yeah.
So one day she comes out, she goes, "Hey kid, what's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, Lou." She goes, "Oh, nice to meet you." She goes, "You like the car?" I'm like, "Yeah." She throws me the keys. I swear to God. She goes, "I got 15 more minutes on my break. Don't touch a thing. You could sit in it." So I unlock the door, I go in, and now I'm listening to what she said, so I didn't touch a damn thing in the car. But, that's when there was an old Caprice, right?
Yeah.
Remember the old Caprices?
Mm-hmm.
The shotgun was in the middle, of right in front of you, right? So it was in the car, but up and down, it was resting in the center of the car. And, at that moment I knew. I said, this is it. This is the career I got to choose. I mean, this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
Not even knowing what it entailed. You know what I mean? It was from those interactions that really brought me to where I am today.
It's funny because you speak about that. I mean, my first interaction that I can ever remember with law enforcement is we were living with my grandparents in Saugus, Mass at the time.
Uh-huh.
And their house had been broken into by a couple punks, whatever. But it happened at least 2, if not 3 times throughout the summer. And my first interaction, I was probably, like you said, 7, maybe 6 or 7 years old. And I remember, my mother's cousin, who was a Saugus Mass cop at the time, him coming out to take the report on it. My mom said I was just captivated with watching him. He was actually, funny story, he was actually the mechanic for their PD, but was also he was a full-time police officer, but just the mechanic. Yeah. So he comes out to take the report and, just being captivated. But no, it's funny how those little things growing up have that influence on you growing, for what you want to do in life.
Absolutely.
And I know Phil, obviously he had, it running right in his blood as he was growing up with everybody surrounding him being in law enforcement.
Yeah, I see his dad's chief. You know what I mean? It's I could see that being a huge impact.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was drawn more to the Marine Corps growing up. I always knew it'd be kind of either or.
The Corps.
And I'm fortunate to be able to say that I've done both. So
that's awesome.
No, it is It is awesome. It's just, I mean, it's just a different way of serving. You know, you serve your country and then you serve your community. So it's kind of awesome.
Thank you both for your service for that. I mean,
thank you.
Thank you.
Don't thank me. I mean, it's fun. It's so I was talking to my girlfriend about this the other day, and I'm like, you know, what do I do growing up? And I was out there either playing cops and robbers or playing war in the backyard. So
who did?
Listen,
get my uncle's old camis and going out and running around with the toy gun. It was the best.
Yeah. So now we get paid to do it in real life. It's like it's not a bad gig.
But it's still amazing, you know what I mean? And that's part of the regret that I have, was never actually serving in that capacity. But you know, it's you know, but hearing guys that have done it and they have, like what you say, good things to say about it. I mean, that's awesome, you know. So
I mean, especially you're serving your country in just another light. It's all the same, you know. You're doing the same exact thing. Yeah, so it's nothing to be like sorry about or anything like that. I mean, you talk to guys that served in the 90s and they didn't do a single thing while they were serving, just because that's what the country asked of them at the time, was just to be there, just be ready to go.
Well, thank you again.
Oh yeah. So when did you go to college or anything like that?
For a week. My kids, my oldest one especially, she busts my balls every time about it.
How was that experience, if you don't mind me asking?
So this was it. So like growing up then, like, so when I knew I really wanted to become a cop, I remember my 6th grade DARE teacher coming in, Captain Cook, and he was like, well, at the time he wasn't a captain, but he was, I think, a sergeant in the community policing unit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I'm going to become a cop. I'd always stay like 10 minutes after the class, and I'd always ask questions. I was probably one of those, the annoying one, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I knew that I wanted to do it. So, you know, and he kind of sensed that vibe. And like, he's like, look, he goes, when you're 18, I'll bring your application and we'll see what happens. He goes, keep your nose clean in the meantime. And so now fast forward all the years of school, 18th birthday rolls around, not even expecting it, knock at my back door. I kid you not. There's Lieutenant Cook at the time. Here's your application for the civil service test. Good luck. He goes, if you want my advice, just take the test. Who knows where you're going to place, but it gives you some experience. And at the end of the day, start your college, because he really believed in education.
Yeah.
He would constantly push education, or go to college. So, you know, I'm about to graduate. I'm about to turn 18. I filled out the application for the civil service test. Coincidentally, I also took the ASVAB test, which I scored really well on. And I was thinking about signing up with the Marine Corps. And then I also, at the same time, enrolled into community college.
Okay.
Busy.
So, yeah, it's like, you know, at that age, you know what you want to do, but then, like, you know, you don't know what to do. You know, I had those 3 forks in the road, not even 2 forks. You know, I had three ways that my life could have ended up.
Yeah.
And no regrets. This is how it ended up. So I end up going to community college. I start there for about, I'm about like almost a week and a half in. Now, mind you, maybe like a few weeks before that, I ended up taking the civil service test. I get the certification in the mail that the New Jersey Department of Corrections wants to move forward with my process, and let's go from there.
At 18 years old, huh?
At 18 years old.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Law enforcement is a career that I want to go down. They're calling me now. I actually scored a stupid score. I got like a 98.9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Don't ask me how I did it.
It's funny now, because if you probably had to take that test after being a cop, you wouldn't score that well at all.
No, I'd probably get like a 2. But yeah, no, so I take it. And, you know, like, again, I scored pretty high, and now they called me. I start going through the process, and next thing I know, they gave me a date for the academy. And I remember I went to my English teacher. She was teaching English in college. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Ford, I think her name was. So I'm like, all right, I just want to tell you, thank you for trying to teach me, but I'm leaving to go to the police academy.
Wow.
She's like, what? She goes, you really want to do that? And I'm like, yep. See you later. You know, she's like, good luck. And that was it.
What year was that?
That was actually end of 99. I graduated in 2000 from the academy.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So that's That's pretty young to even get hired. So that was as a police officer, not for the Department of Corrections?
No, that was for the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
So the DOC, which was crazy because I mean, police, same thing. You know what I mean? Like there was people that occasionally got hired at 18. And the funny part was the chief gave me a letter. I was able to go purchase a firearm, for work. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't buy my bullets.
Right.
Really?
Well, I think in New Hampshire it's the same thing. I think you can buy a pistol at 18. You can carry one. You can get a permit at 18, but you can't buy the bullets.
Yeah, no. So I had to have my mom come with me. It was so embarrassing. I'm like, Mom,
I'm going to the police
I need
academy.
You to come with me. She's like, for what? You gotta buy my bullets. She's like, what? Really? She's like, but they let you carry a gun. I'm like, don't ask. It's just so long.
Yeah.
And there I was. I graduated.
How long was the Department of Correction Academy?
6 months. It was actually in Seagirt at the State Police Academy. That's where we went.
Okay.
For New Jersey. And
is that residential 6 months or is that like commuting?
No, that's you're living there.
Oh shit! Huh?
Wow, 6 months.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
And so was that your first experience to something that was like paramilitary? Like, I mean, you know.
And that was actually the most. I guess. Well, there was people that were military in there actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my class we had guys that ranged from. I mean, not really. I was the youngest one. And basically after my age, it was like 23 and up to almost 40.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How did you do with them getting in your face and everything?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was I growing up, I was not compare this to like getting in my face, but I was in Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
I made it to Eagle Scout.
Awesome.
And then I always had that. People saw it. I'll say it, I guess now that I'm older, but they said I was really mature for my age. So I didn't act like one of those kids that just would do stupid stuff. So,
yeah,
I just did my thing. And
there's probably a little bit of proving there, and you haven't already been through a boot camp or a basic training or something, or a different academy. So for you, you're like, yeah, all right, I got to take this very seriously. It's not like, I'll just play the games and go through. Like I'm sure some of those guys probably thought.
Yeah.
Well, my second academy, I took it as like a joke. So.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what I knew. But, that academy, man, it was like everything was by the man. Like you just walked that straight line. Yeah, that was it. You didn't question anything. You did what you were told, and they broke us down and they built us back up. So I mean, they did what they had to do.
Did you go right into working in a jail or a prison?
I did. I went to work for. I mean, you've probably seen it on Sylvester Stallone was in the movie Lockup.
Okay.
What was it called or something like that?
I've never seen that one. No.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, I don't know if it's called Lockup. Maybe that's A&E special. But anyways, Rahway State Prison, East Jersey State Prison. Ocean's 11 was filmed there.
Really?
Yeah. That's a little bit of history.
Good movie. Ocean's 11,
fun
such
fact,
a good movie.
If you ever need me on a lifeline for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But yeah.
All right.
So yeah, a lot. I mean, it's probably one of the oldest jails in New Jersey. Prisons, I should say, not jail, prison.
Yeah.
We house maximum security inmates there that were doing life in prison. And yeah, we just 18, just telling grown men what to do. I've learned, but you know what? I still think everybody should go through some type of corrections or military before they become a police officer, because that's what really taught me my skill set today on how to speak to people.
Yeah, exactly. You're literally locked up with them every hour of the day.
Yeah.
And they have nothing else to do besides fight you if they want.
Yeah. I mean, they could have easily every day made it that way, but
I've heard that before.
It was respecting. Yeah, it was respecting. So, you learn respect. You learn how to talk to people, how not to talk to people.
Did you have like one block at a throughout your career there? Were you just at one station, or did you work at like a certain amount of time at the Maxim facility and all that sort of stuff?
No, so they would constantly switch us around.
Okay.
I guess now looking back at it, just so we didn't get too familiar with inmates, and
yeah, it makes sense.
So we were constantly moving and and switching it up, but it was good. I mean, we were always within the prison, so they didn't switch us from institution to institution or anything like that. But
what was some of your stories you got from there?
Oh God. So there was this inmate named Snowball.
Love it already.
All right, so I remember. All right, so this is actually like probably my first week on the job there, and it was me and a recruit, Mendoza, and I remember it was in 4 down. So it's split up 1 wing, 2 wing, 3 wing, and 4 wing. So we're in 4 wing, 4 down. It was called because there was 4 levels, like 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
So there was 4 up, 3 and 4, and 4 down, 1 and 2.
Wow.
So I was in 4-1, and we had, you carry all these fucking massive keys and stuff like that. And, you're sitting there like, lock in, opening the door via this like button. It's like a big panel. If I'm trying to set the idea for you, but basically it was like this big box, and you opened it up, and there was like a list of like round buttons you could push. They were either red or green. And green was to open it, red was to close it, and all the cells were numbered. So anyway, Mendoza's sitting there, and he's like, lock in. And he's telling this guy in cell, like, whatever, like 20, lock in. And it's Snowball, right? So Snowball peeps his head out. He's not locking in. And we were taught, like, obviously, if somebody's not locking in, you call the supervisors, and they come. So now he calls the supervisors, and now we got, like, a group of supervisors around us. I'm talking, like, sergeants, lieutenants, and even a captain showed up. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's not locking in. This is everything they taught us in the academy.
It's my first week of the job. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm like, let's go get his ass now. Let's go. We got our batons. We're going to beat his ass, and we're going to bring him to the hole, And so Mendoza's like, lock in. I'm giving you a final order. So now Snowball sticks out his head. He goes, jam or jelly? I'm like, what? I'm like, did he just say jam or jelly? And Mendoza's like, yeah, I think he did.
Is it code for something?
I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, this is something. We're looking at each other. We don't know what the fuck. Like, we're like, what do we do? So Mendoza goes, what the fuck do I tell him? I'm like, I don't know. He goes, what do you like? I'm like, jelly. So, see? Again, Snowball yells down, jam or jelly. So now Mendoza yells out, jelly. So now Snowball goes in his cell. Now, this is an inmate. Like, he's maybe like 25 feet from us. We got all the hierarchy of officers behind us. So Snowball throws his pants down, gets a can of jelly, puts his hand in there, grabs a whole bunch of jelly, slams it on his ass, and says, toss my salad, CO.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. I'm 18. I don't know shit.
I want to know what jam means.
Yeah. I'm like, what? This guy had both things in his cell?
Yeah.
So now, we realized we were set up because now the lieutenant, the sergeant, the captains are all laughing at us.
Yeah.
It turns out Snowball was one of the few inmates that the administration liked. So we kind of had to move on. So that was our initiation. Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty good one. If the first week on the job to have to deal with that, was that some sort of I don't know, was that just some joke that the guys played on you to have this guy do that, or no?
I think to see our reactions. I think to see, and you know what? I'll be honest. If they did that nowadays, they'd probably get sued. But
yeah, probably.
But back then, it's what really built you, what molded you.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah, because look, at the end of the day, no matter what happened in that place, you had to know that your fellow man stood beside you, because when shit hit the fan, you need somebody protecting you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just more than some inmate slamming jam in his ass. You know what I mean? It was because you got to be able to laugh on this job too.
Oh yeah, you have to. You have to. If people knew our sense of humor while working, it would probably go south.
Oh my God. They wouldn't even know, I joke with people now out on the outside now, and it's like, they're like, that's funny to you? I'm like, yeah.
It's fucking hilarious, actually.
Yeah. It's a sick, but listen, that gets us through the infant's not breathing, the guy getting hit by a car, pumping on his chest, it's not going to make it.
Yeah.
The people getting hit by trains, suicide.
Yeah, exactly.
The copious amounts of overdoses we see that we're plagued by, and the shootings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I remember my first suicide scene. It was probably something that was more funnier at the time and at the moment was happening. But we found this guy dead in front of the police department, and he had shot himself, and it was 3:30.
We had that too.
Yeah,
we had that too.
3:30 in the morning as we're going in our lunch break, and I just see something off in the corner in the distance, and I guess. Years before I was even a cop, like people used to just come and PC themselves as it was getting like fall, winter time out. And so, I asked my FTO, who was kind of asleep in the seat next to me, nudge him awake, man, hey, what the hell's that over there in the corner? And then, to me at the time, just the way your mind, number one, the way your mind plays tricks on you, even as you're working overnights, but being a new cop at the time and being exhausted because I was working overnights, and I'm like, I thought it was just a paper bag sitting in the front of the car, and he's like, all right, we'll just go check it out. And he thought it was just like a drunk that had passed out before he even got to like the front door of the police department, and go over there and see the guys like lying dead in front of his car, which is, I say, at most 30 yards from the front of the door to the police department. And I'm standing over him, and this is my first dead body that I've like seen like literally in the field. And earlier that night when we got on at 11, we were actually just like, I was stumbling over my words even worse than I am right now, but I just using the phonetic alphabet on the radio. So it was just kind of like, hey, how would you call this in? How would you call that? And on the radio, just running random shit that you saw, whether if it was even like a street sign, he'd be like, hey, spell that phonetically. And so I'm standing over the dead guy with my FTO, who's like, fuck. And I go, how the fuck do you call this in right now? Like, what? I'm off of a dead guy in front of the PD. And
I'm not gonna believe this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he ran inside, got the watch commander who came out to and he was fucking panicking. But it is what it is. But
yeah, because again, that's because in the front lines, man shoots himself in front of police department.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Listen, thank God you found it while you were on your tour of duty, and not the chief coming in at.
Dude, can you even imagine if that happened?
Oh my
God.
Yeah, I mean, and this is part of the daily stress of the job. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It's just something you never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly. How long did you work in the DOC for?
So I was in DOC from end of '99 till 2003. Okay,
so you had a decent stint there.
Yeah, a little bit, and then from 2003 to 2004. So I transferred to the Bergen County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
I had taken the civil service test again in the hopes of becoming my ultimate dream, a police officer in Fairlawn. Yeah. So in 2003, I got hired, off the list, but I was a transfer from DOC so you could go from state to county by us for corrections. So I just transferred into the jail for the Sheriff's Department. So I went from literally the oldest institution in New Jersey with no AC, smelled like shit, like literally bust, you know what I mean? Like crazy.
Yeah.
To a country club. Like central air. No inmate contact really. Don't get me wrong, it was still dangerous. I'm not going to downplay it because I know when the Sheriff's Department listens to this, they're going to be like, "Lou, what the fuck?"
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm just comparing that. We went from Rahway to Bergen County Sheriff's.
So you had to retake the test? That test doesn't just, you can't just reapply and use the same test?
No. So I took it all over again, and I ended up scoring again like a 99 or some stupid score, and I got hired again. And I got hired for the Sheriff's Department, which I took and I accepted because I went from making, when we first started in corrections back then, in Rahway, they started us at like $46,000 to $47,000 a year.
Okay.
So now here I am, 18 years old, not knowing my ass from my elbow really, and I'm getting paid pretty decent wage.
Bathing in money at 18, the richest man in the world as far as you're concerned.
Oh my God, yeah.
And all the overtime too.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Oh yeah, I was working overtime like crazy, and I remember the first thing I bought was a Mustang. Here I am, all my friends are still in college, they're pumping gas, and I'm 18 years old in this brand new Mustang, the GT.
Do you still have it?
No, I ended up totaling it. I got another one anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was crazy. So I was blessed. You know what I mean? Like, and thank God I didn't, go crazy and do stupid stuff. You know, I had some great mentors. You know, and shout out my first lieutenant, Tommy Clark. He really guided me in the right direction. And he's like, look, you better start deferred comm. You better start this. You know what I mean?
That makes all the difference in the world. If you have, those mentors to help bring you up in your career. I mean, I had some that were great, and I had some that were shitty. But if you can have someone that just leads you down that general line of what to do in life, and even now, I mean, I'm 32, but I try talking to the new kids, whether they work at the police department or the dispatchers or whatever, and like, I'm like, dude, I sound like my father when I say this, and I don't mean that in a bad way, Dad, whatsoever.
No,
I don't mean.
No, I sound like that. I sound like the same thing. Trust me. Like, I'm telling these new guys getting on, the same thing. Like Tommy told me, and Tommy's the best. Like, he was one of the biggest mentors I've ever had in my life. I mean, he was lieutenant. He was a lieutenant colonel in the National Guard.
Awesome.
He's the one that brought us on during September 11th to assist with recovery. It was just so many. He really paved the way to where I am today.
No, I didn't even think, because I was thinking you being in the DOC at that time. Obviously, New Jersey's right next to New York City. But how long were you down at the World Trade Centers for?
So I never actually went to ground. I went to ground zero for one day.
Okay.
And that was more or less just to scope out the area. I didn't really take any part there in any kind of recovery operation. But Tommy got activated for the National Guard, and he was in charge of security for a landfill called Fresh Kills. And in Fresh Kills is where they brought everything from ground zero to this landfill, which is like now sacred ground, obviously. And,
right.
They brought everything there from the damaged cars. Most of the stuff there they brought there. I think I even saw one car that was there, a fire engine that was crushed beyond recognition in the museum right now, at ground zero. But, no, so I was out there for like 6 months, and we would go back and forth. Most of it was volunteer time, unless you had extra people that you were working with. And, you would go there, suit up in your Tyvek suits, we'd bring the vans over. And what was really amazing is that, like, there was no other agencies that actually took part in recovery there. Tommy got us in there, and it was with the understanding that we were correction officers, and that, when we did these cell searches, we were used to looking for contraband that were tiny. So we already had the eye to be looking for these things. So that was the premise of us being there. And we did. As eerie as this sounds, I remember they handed us these 5-gallon buckets, these white 5-gallon buckets. We're wearing Tyvek suits. We're wearing gloves, wearing the respirators, hard hats. I still have my yellow hard hat. And, we would line up in lines, and basically just as they would bring like a bulldozer over, scoop up a bunch of stuff that came in, and then the bulldozer would go in reverse and just kind of like shake the front of it, and it would sift out a whole bunch of stuff in front of us. And it was like I'd say it was like maybe like a half, or maybe even like as big as a football field. You know?
This was down at Fresh Kills?
This was in Fresh Kills, yeah. And I'll never forget the smell. Like, it was like this burning smell. I can't explain it, but
like
it was the
like a sulfur, I bet, right?
Yeah, it was weird. Like, I can't. It's a very distinct smell. Like, I've never smelled it again after that.
I'd say I probably have no idea, but I remember when an IED would go off, it's just that. It's that weird. It's fresh dust. It's just like a burn. It's an explosion. It's just a weird smell, and like you said, I can't describe it. I imagine it maybe similar to that.
Yeah, it was like sulfur and like just like a death smell. Like I just can't explain it. It was just a weird fucking smell.
They always say that smells like that one sense that brings you right back to where you were at that time when you smelled it. You know what I mean?
Well, so that's what happened. So like, so for a couple months, like for 6 months, we're out here doing all this stuff. And, I remember after the 6 months, we took a break and we rotated with another shift. And, I said, I told Tommy, I said, let's, could we go to ground zero to see, how the progress they're making or whatever. I remember it was myself, Kurt Quinn, who was a cop in, oh man, he's going to kill me for not remembering this. Demers or Dumont. He became a cop too. I worked with him. And, yeah, we went to Ground Zero. And as soon as we stepped foot in the area, that vicinity by Ladder 10, that smell was right there.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, and it triggered the last 6 months of what we've been through. And here I am thinking about the bucket. And what they had in Fresh Kills, they had like Secret Service, FBI, CIA. They
had going through everything that you guys are probably touching.
Oh yeah, NYPD. Like these were the only agencies up there, and Port Authority, and probably one more that I'm forgetting. But it wasn't like everybody. No other really agencies came up there. That was it. Just DOC and these particular agencies. And I remember they had these. I think it's what they were. Anthropologists, the people that do the bones or whatever.
Yep.
So, because I remember
archaeologists. I think it's anthropologists. Yeah.
Anthropologists, yeah, because they know like every single bone in the human body.
Yeah.
And this was the eerie part. So like, I remember, anything you grabbed, anything that you thought was human or ID or any valuable, you put in this bucket, right? Anything that was like debris, like a piece of a police car or whatever, you put it in a different pile. And if it was just garbage, it was just garbage. You just kind of left it there, right? So I remember I filled up the bucket as best I could. We were out there for, like an hour and a half, and I brought it back to the trailer, and the doctor was sitting there. It was a female, I remember. She's going through the bucket. She goes, okay, garbage. She's like, oh, you found a chicken bone. It was a chicken bone. It looked like a human bone. I thought I found something crazy, And then she goes, oh, what's this? And they're just doctors, you know what I mean? But like, she's looking at it. She goes, oh, I know this one. She goes, hold out your hand. So I held out my right hand, and she put the bone exactly on top of the bone that it would have been in that person.
No shit.
It was like by the by my right index finger. She goes, yep, this is the whatever bone. It's a finger bone. So she put it in a Ziploc bag, not a Ziploc, like an evidence bag, sealed it, wrote some information down, time, all that stuff, and I ended up finding it. It was crazy. And when somebody would find something, I remember somebody found like a torso. Like it was bad. It was bad. Like, now looking at it, but when I'm 18, you're not really thinking about those things. You know what I mean? Like I'm supposed to be like this happy-go-lucky 18-year-old, 19-year-old, whatever, 20-year-old. And here I am, like at the world's largest crime scene.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you say that you kind of regret not serving the military, dude. That's serving in a completely different capacity that, goes unnoticed and not thanked for, around the country for doing that and bringing people home. So just for that, thank you for doing that. And did you ever find out, if they were able to put names to those bones?
No, you know what? Not that particular. I mean, they never told me about that after that, but they said that, at the end of when everything was all done, they're like, the efforts here, really help people, and their families, through DNA and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it did. I don't know for sure, but like, I'm hoping that one bone was closure for a family.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's something I'll never forget.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Well, thank you for doing that. And so that was while you were at the country club.
No, that's
no, okay,
that was a Rahway.
That's a Rahway. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, no,
and
right.
And then you transferred over to the other jail.
Yeah. So then when I went to this place, it was like a country club. Here I am. I walk through the door. Everybody's awesome. You know what I mean? Like the guys I work with were great. There was no Tommy Clarks there,
Yeah.
But there was great guys, and I only spent a year there, but through that year, I got to meet some great people, and but it was weird. Like, we go into the mess hall, and they had, Wonder Bread, any kind of cold cut you wanted, fresh burgers, salads, always bottled water. And they treated their officers well. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna knock it. Like, but it was the country club. You know what I mean? Like, it was was fucking awesome.
And then, so
you're gonna pay me $70,000 to come here and just.
That's not bad at all.
Push buttons. Like I really had limited inmate action. You know what I mean? Because like you would sit in this pod. Like don't get me wrong. Like you had these sections and you'd go in. It was still dangerous as shit. Like I remember there, I met this notorious criminal, the Iceman. Like if you ever look him up, this guy was notorious. He was a mob hitman. I mean, it's not like we were, friendly or anything.
Exactly.
He just asked me for a roll of toilet paper, but still.
Yeah, I know, right?
For a fucking roll of toilet paper.
It's pretty interesting because I mean we have 2 prisons in our area as well, and just I don't know. I don't know if it's a weird fascination or whatever it is, but just learning about the different people that maybe even held at the even the federal prison, and you hear about different people in the state prison. It's like, oh well, this one's up there, and
well, definitely listen. Whenever we're done with this podcast, check it out during the week. The last name was Kuklinski. I'll never forget.
Phil's on his phone right now showing me.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was like, you would never think that he was I guess you'd say serial killer, right? I mean, or hitman or whatever.
That's actually what it says. He was.
Yeah. He literally killed hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and of course, again, young, immature me, like, oh, you really want toilet paper? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so you're that hitman, huh? And he's like, and he laughed at me, He was like, that's what they say, kid, And meanwhile, this guy had like bear mitts, you know what I mean? His hands, like his hands were like, but you could tell he definitely was a killer, you know what I mean? Like, and
well, he's like that Shawshank. Everyone's not guilty in here.
Yeah, no, he said he was guilty. He bragged about it. Like he literally, I think he knew. Like that's it. I think it felt good for him to talk about it.
Yeah, probably more of like some
bragging
sort of exactly right for him,
Or maybe that was his maybe that was his way of talking about all the crazy shit he's done. Like much like we need to talk about stuff. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Now you went and did you apply right to Fairlawn after that?
So I was still on that one list. You're able to in New Jersey check off corrections or police.
Mm-hmm.
It was all one test. So in 2004, I got the certification for Fairlawn, and I started going through the process. And so when I transferred from DOC to county, I was able to just transfer. I didn't have to go back to an academy. My certification was good. So I had to go back to the academy. For police officer this time. So, you would think that you would have to sleep there as well and, residential like we talked about before, but no, this was kind of like a Monday through Friday thing. 5 o'clock in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. And you went home every day, but don't get me wrong. It was still it was still time consuming. It was still crazy.
How long?
How
long was it?
It was another 6 months.
6 months.
Wow.
And is that, because I know in New Hampshire we have, if you're a railroad cop or a campus cop, for a school, or if you're a state trooper, you all go to the same academy. And I know New Jersey's bigger, so like the state police or, they probably go to their own, and the larger cities probably have their own too. But how many?
Yeah, it's weird. So the state by us, New Jersey, the state police academy also does state corrections. It does the attorney general's office, like investigators and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they also do municipal classes.
Okay.
At the time, and then they stopped and then did it back and they did it again. But then usually each county in New Jersey kind of does their own police academies that are fortunate enough to have the funding for it. So Bergen County was one of those. Actually, Bergen County is one of the most renowned academies in the world. You have people from all over the world attending our academy for classes.
Really?
Not so much for police per se, going through for their agencies, more for classes for learning, especially our fire grounds, state of the art. Everything is just high speed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so that second time going through the police academy, that was a lot easier than going the first time through the corrections academy.
Well, yeah, because now fast forward, I got some time in now. I realized what it's all about.
How to play the game.
And don't get me wrong, we were playing the game too good where me and another guy who already had went through academies, he went through the NYPD, I went through state, we kind of teamed up, and then we just got smoked every day. I mean, we could, because we played the game, but we, at the same time, we knew, like, hey, they weren't going to fire us, so let's have fun. So we made it enjoyable. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you gotta, pass the time.
Oh yeah, no, like we did all right, so this one time, it was so immature and dumb, but so I had a Pop-Tart wrapper, right? Because we were on one of our breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up stuffing it in his OC canister. And I stuck it in or whatever. Who the fuck knew that we were going to have a uniform inspection that day? So now we're all lined up and we have a uniform inspection and, they're going one by one. They're looking everybody over. Bam, they get to my friend Chris. And that's who I put the Pop-Tart wrapper in. And they're like, they all surround him now at this point. What the fuck is this? You think this is a fucking joke? Pop-Tart wrapper? And like, at that point, he also could have said it was mine and just took the heat. But he goes, it's not mine. I don't know how that got there. So now they're like, now they want to question his integrity.
Yeah. Now they're up for blood.
Like, yeah. So now they're like, who the fuck did it? Da, 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 da. Me, being as brutally honest as I am, I raised my hand. I said, sir, I did it, sir. No shit. Rules and regs. So that night I had to write the rules and regulations, which was like 80 fucking pages. I'm like, sir, what color would you like me to write it in? Hot pink. Now I had to go find a fucking hot pink pen after the academy and basically stayed up till 4 a.m. writing the fucking rules and regs.
Oh, Jesus.
But,
that's
yeah,
rough.
oh my God. Yeah, it was crazy. But like, you played the game. At the end of the day, they gave us some great training. My instructors were high speed, Kamichik and Espinoza, best guys on the planet. And at the end of the day, they turned great cops. They made great cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Super awesome instructors, Lieutenant Higgins.
Now, would you have rather have stayed there, or would you have rather have done the residential, or excuse me, the commuter thing?
It's funny you say that. I actually enjoyed the residential. There was more structure, I think.
Yeah. That was your mindset too. You're
I was
there.
Gonna say, I think it'd be hard to stay focused.
Like, don't get you know what? When you go home every day, you kind of don't miss home every day. I remember being in DOC and like the 10th week, I'm like I remember I kind of just sighed, and I remember looking out the window. I'm like, people have quit at this point. People have gotten hurt and went home. People just that this wasn't for them. The first day people quit. You know what I mean? So like to be in the 11th week and still there, I kind of looked out the window and I'm like, I questioned myself. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
I'm like, every day we're getting smoked. Every day we're doing this. And I kind of questioned it for a second. I'm like, you know what? I know why I'm doing it. Because I want to be a fucking cop. Like, I want to be like, I want to do what I got to do. And even if I don't become a cop, I'm going to be the best damn correctional officer I could be. So, fuck yeah, I got to stay in this, And I just, turned back around, went to sleep. Next day, got smoked. And that was it.
Yeah.
And just day after day.
Yeah. So, now, would you, so you graduated the academy and you rolled right into an FTO program.
Yeah.
How long was that?
3 months.
That's not too bad. That seems like for me, my first PD, that's what it was, 12 weeks.
Yep.
It was like,
man,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I had so I had 2 FTOs. I had this one guy that was just like this old salty guy with smoke in the car, like just fucking like, if I told you, I'm all right, so I'm going to reserve my comments about this one, but he didn't really teach me much. But the second guy, he taught me a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd say we had everything but a homicide.
Yeah.
Like, we literally, through my FTO program, got into foot pursuit, got into, this, that, got into frauds, burglaries. I mean, you name it, I had it all.
Mm-hmm.
Everything short of a homicide. I even had an OD. I had stuff,
Yeah.
And I learned a lot with him. And at the time, he was the PBA president. I actually ended up, becoming that too.
Right.
Later on. And I had some big shoes to fill. But, he was the best mentor I ever had, Dave Boone. The best, hands down. And he was a reverend.
Cool.
So we would go on calls, And this guy wouldn't even like curse at people, you know? He'd be like, "Sir, put your hands on the wall now," you know? And like me, I'd be like, "Get your fucking hands on the wall."
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel bad like cursing in front of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I'd always ask him for forgiveness. But yeah, no, he was one of the best guys ever. He was hands down aces.
Now, how big is the actual, is it town or city?
It's the town.
Okay.
Actually, it's a borough.
Okay.
Of Fairmont. So we're around 33,000 now.
Okay, so you must have 60 to 70 full timers.
60.
Okay.
We should be. I mean, per the state police thing, I think we should be at like 75 or 80.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're at 60 right now. We're looking to hire 4 more.
Okay. Now you were on the road for.
Still on the road.
Yeah, no, Phil was just looking at me. You were on the phone. You were on the road for how long? Are you still on the road now? You're saying?
No, I'm still on the road. No, I'm still in the patrol division.
Yeah.
I am now 17 years on the road.
Okay.
No, 16. Yeah, 16. Then I did like almost 3 years. DOC 1 year, 16, 20. Yeah, 4 years. So yeah, 16 years.
Did those 4 years roll over?
Oh yeah, they all rolled over.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
The same pension, same everything.
Now, Phil was telling me
21 years now.
Awesome. Phil was telling me about a call that you guys had at one of the malls, right?
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I mean, I don't forget a lot of them, but that one in particular, we were in the 3 to 11s. I remember we were just, kind of winding down, getting ready to end the shift. And I remember hearing on Spen, it's our state police emergency network. We have 2 radios in the cars. One where Spen, you can hear surrounding towns and mostly stuff throughout the state that you can get reached on. They can talk to each other. And then you have our regular channel, which is just Fairlawn. And I remember hearing on the thing, because my buddy, Bill Hickey, my partner, or whatever you want to call it, my shiftmate, he was following me. We were going to go get gas.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were going down 208, actually heading towards the mall, where it's kind of like where the border is on the town. And we heard on Spen, shots fired in Nordstrom's, active shooter, male, or no, they didn't even know male. I don't know. Sorry, they didn't say male. They said a person wearing all black leather, wearing a motorcycle helmet with an AK style rifle. So we were right there, and we didn't even wait for our headquarters to dispatch us. We just started going there.
Now, when you say you're right there, how far away do you think you are from the actual mall itself?
Half a mile.
Oh, so you are. Right
we literally
there.
arrived.
Yeah.
We arrived before the town Paramus. We arrived before they got there.
Okay, and you guys had you have a good working relationship with them?
Oh yeah. No, Paramus. It was either Rochelle Park or Maywood Cop. I mean, I can't remember at this point, but it was one of those that arrived at the same time. Like, I guess he was kind of in the area too, because they border. It had to have been Rochelle Park, actually, because they kind of they border them too. So I remember it was me and Bill. We rolled up. It was a Rochelle Park cop. I remember swinging open my trunk, grabbed my rifle, racked it, and now here we are standing in front of door 6. And at the same time, before we got there, then dispatch, said, all units go to, or whatever units go to the mall.
Yeah.
And we had called out right there. And I remember,
sorry to interrupt you. Had you had any like tactical training? Are you on the SWAT team or anything like that?
No. I mean, but we go through our range. Our guys are pretty high speed, either former military or took tons of classes, and so we go through different scenarios.
Gotcha.
That we've been training for, especially, and this is kind of funny how our training resorted into this. We've been doing a lot of active shooter training for schools.
Mm-hmm.
So getting in the triangle and stuff like that, point man, rear guy, and the two guards or 2 side guys, so we'd actually had practice having 4 guys.
What year was this, Lewis?
This was, oh my God, You know what? I'm gonna have to Google this. I don't want to give a wrong date.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering what prompted all that training. That's all.
Yeah, because I mean, for the biggest thing that changed in law enforcement was the Columbine shooting.
Yeah, so this was
yeah. Well, I know that, but I mean, what I'm saying is like that changed tactics and how we trained and everything. Because
it's no longer just cordon off.
Exactly, that's what they did back then and wait for the SWAT team to show up. But I mean, nowadays you're going right in. If you hear any sort of active shooters or anything like that, you get a call for an active shooter. You're not waiting for the SWAT team. You are going right in. And I don't care if you're one guy
Correct. Well, that's what we were trained to do. We were trained to go in. We weren't waiting for anybody.
Yeah.
This was November 5th, 2013.
Okay. So you get there there's you and another Fairlawn guy and the other guys from the surrounding towns that are there, and you're getting getting all suited up essentially right outside the mall itself.
Yeah. So yeah, we get ready. We go in. I remember going in with me, Bill, and at the same time, God rest his soul, Eddie Egan, a police officer by us, who actually ended up tragically passing away of a heart attack, while still currently working for us. He came in, and I remember there was one or two Rochelle Park guys, and I remember as clear as day. I took the point because of the rifle. But we didn't even think about it. And I'm telling you, recalling it now, I remember we walked in door 6, exactly where they said to go. As we were going in, there were people coming out. Like there were stragglers. It wasn't like a whole crowd of all coming at us. I remember stragglers, and they were running out. They had this terror on their face. I remember the security guard closing the gate and running towards us. I'm like, yo, where are you going? Like, where are you going? You got to let us in. Where's this guy at? Where's the guy? He goes, he's in there. He's shooting everything up. Now your heart's racing.
Oh, yeah.
I leave my fucking cell phone in the car. That happened November 2013. My daughter was born May 2013. I got a wife at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, this is how it's going to go. I remember looking at my partner, Bill. I looked at Eddie. I made the sign of the cross. I literally made the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
And I kissed my hand and I said, let's do this shit. And that was it. We fucking just go in. The security guard opened the gate for us again. He ended up closing the gate and just fucking running. And now here's the door closing behind us. Now we're into the mall. We're on the first level, so we start going up.
Are you hearing any shots or anything?
No shots. And but we see AK-47 rounds on the floor.
Yeah, yep, the casings.
Yep. We start going up the elevator, and instinctively now looking back, like we were actually in the triangle. And it kind of just flowed together. I'm like, okay, point. I'm like, guys, fold in. They folded in, or one of us said it. And the Rochelle Park guy, I remember bringing up the rear, and we kind of like were hugging the wall, and we were coming up, and we were just, we're just looking for this fucking guy because we want to engage. We're going to engage. We're going to get this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the eeriest fucking thing was the mall was dead silent. You could actually hear the mall music playing, which you could never hear, I think, just when you're at a normal day in a mall.
Exactly. You hear that either like 5 minutes after it opens when the old people out there walking, or right before it closes.
I didn't even know they had fucking music, to be honest. Until that day. And I remember just walking through, and we're trying to look for this fucking guy, and I'm trying to talk to my partner. My partner's talking to me, and we all had dry mouth.
Yeah.
We all couldn't. It was weird. Like we couldn't talk. Like we were like, you know what I mean? We couldn't. Like there was no spit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can't explain why, but we all had dry mouth.
Your body's just like using every ounce of energy it has.
My heart's beating out of my chest.
Yeah.
I'm laser focused. I can't explain it. Like I was laser focused. Like I'm waiting. As soon as somebody popped out, I was looking, making sure it was this fucking motorcycle helmet guy, and I'm popping him. I don't, this is what I'm waiting for,
mm-hmm. Now,
and we're looking for this fucking guy. And
now,
I remember.
Do you see anybody injured, like on the grounds or anything like that?
No. You know what? The guy never actually hurt anybody. He would. I mean, there was people that witnessed accounts. He would walk past them. I don't know if he actually said anything to them, but like they didn't want to hurt anybody. Like he just kind of was just like, kind of like go do your thing. You know what I mean? Like get away from me. I don't want to hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. So, and that's when we kept going. We kind of did our thing, and we kept looking. I remember coming to the Apple store specifically. And he had shot out the Apple sign, and that's when, we kind of just stopped, slowed everything down, and we kind of just bunkered in like that corner area. Okay. And now more and more people are starting to show, and we got really no direction. You know what I mean? Like, so now you have officers coming in, not knowing like what the fuck ends up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, not hearing any shots or anything like that. So I remember the actual Paramus chief was having dinner or something close by. Chief Ehrenberg. Fucking guys. Aces. This guy is a cop's cop. Aces. I mean, his men respect him. He's the chief that you want to have, right?
Yeah.
So he comes in, he's having dinner, and he didn't expect anything like this to happen. And I remember he didn't even have his gun on him. I remember Eddie Egan goes, "Here, take my firearm, like take my sidearm." And he ended up taking his gun, and he actually, with his training that he had, because he was like fire chief, police chief, and this guy is brilliant.
He's done everything.
He backs everybody out. He's like, guys, we got to regroup. We got to get back, because now you have every swinging dick coming in. Rightfully so, which is a great feeling. Don't get me wrong. You have everybody like rushing the area, and you're gonna have chaos in the thing. And then who knows if you find this guy, what's gonna, you know what I mean? So his approach was, you don't hear anything right now. You don't know if this guy has hostages or whatever he's thinking, but he backs everybody out, right? So now we all kind of like back out. We ended up staying by the Apple store. Employees in there scared shitless. I remember meeting this one girl I'll never forget. But actually, I kind of keep in touch with her, but I haven't kept in touch with her. She was pregnant at the time. This girl Gina, and I remember escorting her out. We one by one we started emptying the stores out, while SWAT teams assembled and started clearing stores as they left or that were empty already. And it turns out the gunman had actually ended up committing suicide in one of the stores. He wasn't found until hours later.
Wow.
But
well, it's a good thing. I mean, nobody got hurt. If something goes in there with a gun, and just even starts randomly shooting at not even people, just objects, and then
listen, this guy could have turned this thing into a mass. Yeah, we were expecting to see bodies. I mean, when you see shell casings, my next thing, we were ready to see bodies. Yeah. It was such a mind fuck. Like,
exactly.
Like I still think about that. That was kind of like a fucked up scenario. Of course, I've been in other situations since then, but that was like that was probably like my first real like holy shit, like I don't think I'm gonna make it home type thing. But thank God we all made it home.
Yeah.
And it was, unfortunately, he had these demons he was fighting with the kid, you know what I mean? So, but luckily he didn't take anybody else out, and it happened the way it happened, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, you went through that scenario. I mean, let me take this back a little bit. So, getting back to your career, you had become the PBA president, which is it the Police Benevolent Association, which is your version of a union?
Yes.
Okay. So you had been the president for how long at that point?
No, I wasn't the president then. I've been the president for the last 6 years.
Okay, gotcha.
I've been in for 3 terms.
Oh yeah, Mr. President, how are you?
Doing good, thank you.
One of the most underrated and thankless jobs there is.
I didn't realize that until now, but you know what? Listen, my thing was becoming president was making sure we had a fair union, making sure we had a great working relationship with the administration, with the borough. Be hard where you have to be hard. Plan. You can't win every battle, so don't. You got to be strategic. You have to be strategic. Sometimes people would think that I should have been more vocal in some areas. Maybe some areas I shouldn't have been. I don't regret a thing. I don't regret one single thing. I think I did everything with the best interest of the local.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
settle the contract.
No,
2022, a historic contract. I also, with my team, I shouldn't say just our team actually did something since 1932. This was the first schedule change that we've ever done in the history of the police department.
Really? So what are you guys working now?
Now we do 4 on, 4 off.
So you get
and
10s?
we made it where seniority, you could bid days or nights.
Okay, gotcha.
These are little things, but little things now. But looking back at it, we've done some historic things. Grievances, done them, won them. I think I've never lost a grievance. But the most important thing is that I have a good working relay. So when I first became president, I said, you know what? Let me sit down with the chief and just let him know that I'm here, what my intentions are. Let him know that, whatever. And we had a good conversation. And that worked out to my benefit. I mean, because I shouldn't say my benefit, but our benefit, where we were able to work hand in hand with the administration to better our community.
Right. And you're not out there to, cause waves or anything like that. You probably are when it's needed, but at the same time, you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it.
No, listen, I did it because nobody wanted to do it, I did it because the president before did such an amazing job. And he needed somebody to fill that position, and nobody really wanted to fill it. We kind of went through a weird lull, you know what I mean? And I think we've had a great. Listen, at the end of the day, in any kind of department, right? You have to let your chief run the department.
Exactly. Management has to manage, and then
he's a chief, right?
Yeah.
And I often think these guys that have never even been in the military, and I haven't either, but I can only assume that you wouldn't go question a general's every move.
No, not at all.
Right? Would you question your lieutenant's move, your sergeant's move?
And it's one of those things you're trying to talk to the new kids, and which the same exact thing was taught to me was, hey, you don't see the stuff that the lieutenant's doing every day. He's doing X, Y, and Z, whatever it is behind the scenes that you're not aware of. That it's not that you're not privy to it. It's just it's not your job. Correct.
Yeah. So these guys, look, everybody has something to say until there's something to be done. You know what I mean? And but that's when you really got to think with an open mind and just try to be fair. So my thing was fair, and trust me, I got nothing out of this position.
No.
Some people in other places, they may get a cushy position. I'm in the patrol division still. I've been offered stuff. I've never taken it. I don't use my position to my advantage. I really just try to really be there for the community. My shift is amazing. My guys on my shift, I do more stuff for PBA shit. Well, unfortunately, sometimes while I'm working, these guys will pick up my slack, pick up my calls. These guys, listen, they'll bust my balls relentlessly, but they know, but for real, but they know it's for a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it's with, I don't listen. And there's another thing. If I like somebody or don't like somebody, we're all equal. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean anything. I really do it from the heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some people that don't like what I've done, and I don't care because I know the majority of the people really loved what I did.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably the same people that think that you're doing it for some sort of personal gain,
which I'm not.
Exactly. And there's nothing. It's one of the, I was in no, it was not even close in size. I mean, I was ours filled for 4 years, something like that.
Was it that long?
Yeah. And it was, I hated every second of it.
I never wanted to do it.
Yeah. No, it was, it's a thankless job, number one. And everyone's coming at you with these, I don't want to say that everyone's coming at you with problems, but everyone's coming at you with.
No, they do.
Yeah.
They do. Every day, everything is a problem.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're not real problems. You know what I consider a problem?
What's that?
Well, what I consider a problem, the family dealing with the child that has cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
The family member that has that just passed away, and now you have to deal with it. They have to deal with it. Yeah. Those are problems. Those are problems.
And the extra stipend that they forgot to pay you is not an issue.
That's not an issue. It's a formality that can be handled.
Exactly.
2 seconds.
Now,
but when they come to you, it's like, oh my god, this is the end of the world. No, it's not.
Right. Now, does the PD? I mean, for us, I know, like when you go through like critical incidents and whatnot, they have set guys up where I work now with like different like mental health resources or anything like that. Do you sort of like try to stress that to? Well, actually, I guess while you're in contract negotiations or anything.
You know what? That's a good idea. That's something that should be implemented. Now, we certainly do have resources, and sometimes they're not implemented the way they should be.
Right.
So when Marianne was killed, I knew a lot of the guys said that they were never offered like a critical incident, like, you know what I mean? There was never no debriefing.
Really?
This is just me saying that about accounts that people had. They often said that not a lot of people maybe should have received the help that they should have gotten.
Yeah.
But that was under a different administration. And again, I don't, at the time
you weren't there. You don't know.
Well, I came that year after.
Okay. Gotcha.
And you could kind of still, because I came in 2004, she was killed in 2003.
Right.
So, I mean, you could still see, I guess looking back now, yeah, I'm working with guys that still went through that era that are still probably really affected by it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things that, I try to push with this podcast, number one, even with the PD I work for now, is just mental health for the people that you're working with, especially, in general, like in life as it is. I don't get I go see a counselor if you want to go talk to somebody. It's great because I support it 100%. But in just law enforcement, I think it's something that it still has that stigma to it, and I try to support it in any way that I can, and just having resources out there for guys to have, and when I say guys, I mean male and female, but just for people to have out there and talk to them. And so I know with different in New Hampshire, it's actually built into some of the laws. If they get involved in an officer involved shooting, you have to go talk to a critical. I think you just have to go through the CISD debrief and go see a counselor at the same time. And the counselor, it's offered to you and your family if you get involved in that shooting. So use a deadly force but yeah, I try to just kind of talk to the guys that are in law enforcement and that, and just get their perspective on it, because we all keep that shit bottled up for so long, and it's going to overflow, and who knows how it's going to actually overflow.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, and this is the first time I'm actually talking about this openly, especially on a podcast where now people can know my business.
Yeah.
But and I'm not ashamed to say it, actually. Last year I developed anxiety. And I actually, it's funny, I was on a call and I ended up going to help this psychiatrist in town that was having issues with their patient. And I remember I saw on the door, specifically treats anxiety, something else and something else, right? So I'm like, oh, can I get your card, doc, for the report? I took it. And I remember in the recent weeks prior, I started getting panic attacks.
While you're working?
Oh, I had one while I was working.
Okay.
Which was seemed like the end of the world. I thought I was having a heart attack. Now listen, this is something huge because again, I don't really talk about this, but since I've been in it and I'm sure there's more people like me, put it that way.
Yeah, well, it's just no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to.
No, nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't have a problem talking about it is because people need to understand that, look, I was a happy-go-lucky kid growing up. Never had any issues. Made Eagle Scout. I was your model kid, right?
Yeah.
Cop at an early age, right? Dealt with shit since 18 years old, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from suicides to this to that to whatever. Starting a family of my own. having my own marital issues along the way every now and then, right?
Yep.
Let's face it, everything's not the golden road. You know what I mean? Like it is in the Wizard of Oz. So, you know,
sometimes there is that little midget in the background. Don't walking when you're walking down the yellow brick road and just tossing that freaking noose in the background.
Midget wants to bang your wife, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's just, you know, listen, you go through all these things, right?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, if you're one of the fortunate ones, you know, you're dealing, you know, with all this stuff, and you're not dealing with, like, you know, thank God. I mean, my dad passed away, unfortunately. I had to deal with that back in 2013 too. You know what I mean? That was a rough year.
Yeah.
But you know, it's something that, like, I think because you see so much stuff as you go on throughout your daily life, day in and day out, that you kind of put it in like a filing cabinet somewhere in your head. And, you know, you become kind of desensitized to a lot of things. So, like, you know, I remember my dad passed away. I cried, I think, once when we ended up putting him in the cremation machine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But other than that, like, I remember, like, having really no emotions to anything. I guess because mainly, again, because you become so desensitized to these things. And then, you know, you go through these situations like with the mall or with a suicide or with an infant not breathing and now dead, or, domestic violence situations. You're constantly dealing with everybody else's problems. But meanwhile, sometimes you got problems. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think you just file it somewhere in the filing cabinet, so to speak. And last year, it was the year where I guess my filing cabinet was full. And, I've never been depressed or anything like that. I've never been, I don't find myself sitting there in the fetal position crying in the corner. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I found myself becoming a little more emotional with things. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to word it the right way, but
well, it's time to talk.
Yeah. You just think about things more. Like shit. I went from 18. I'm going to be 40 soon. I had 21 years just fly past me.
Mm-hmm.
I got kids of my own. My daughter just got her license, and now it's another stress, but it's a good stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this, I think it's just life, right? And so then I started getting these like panic attacks. I would feel like I couldn't breathe. I would feel like my throat gets tight. I would feel like, I got dizzy. I would feel like, and I went after that call with that doctor. I called him up. I said, Doc, kind of crazy, but can I come in and see you? And he's like, yeah, of course. He goes, I treat many law enforcement. And I got to talking with him. I talked to him for a few weeks. I'm actually on a low dosage of medicine,
mm-hmm.
Which doesn't affect my job at all in any type of way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's lessened the panic attacks. I've learned a lot more about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Listen up. Your body changes too, whether it's biochemical or whatever the case may be. But it was good to find out that it was just a mild anxiety issue and nothing that was, maybe mild PTSD, but nothing that's going to affect my employment.
Yeah. I mean, it never, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. It never does. And I think that's what the stigma is with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people think, hey, if I'm going to go talk to a doctor, they're going to take my gun and kick me off the road, got to go sit at a desk. That's the best case in their head. And the worst case is they're fired and they're going to the mental health hospital. And that's not what it is.
It's not the case.
Exactly.
Listen, it's not the case. I mean, and now I think I advocate more for people opening up and talking more. I mean, there's an officer in my department. I'm not going to name his name, but he goes through the same thing I go through, unmedicated. And not that it's good or bad. It doesn't affect his job performance, but I know that if he had something, it could help him more. You know what I mean? Get through what he has to get through.
Exactly.
But again, it's something that, was caused by something, you know what I mean? That should have been talked about, or even just an event that you go through your life that is just a lot that you don't think about it then, but now it's like all of a sudden, bam, here it is, so, I think more people do need to talk about it. I think that more people should seek help for it. Whether it be panic attacks or just if it's on your mind, you know what I'm saying? Or
if I think to the point though, mandated or not, everyone has to be ready to get that help before it actually works the best, and
Correct.
that is the key for it. You know, they have to be willing to embrace that they need it.
Absolutely.
More than just being told, hey, go talk to this person because you were in a really shitty situation. And if they don't want to do it, it's not going to help them.
We all know those people that can just go to that we bring to go see counselors, and they hit those check boxes. Yeah, I don't want to hurt myself. Don't want this. Don't want to talk to you. And then they just leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or listen, or you do yourself a disservice by, now you you're not feeling right, you're not feeling good, so now either you self medicate or now you're drinking a lot more. Where, like, I found that just working out, being in the gym, really makes me feel better than anything. You know what I mean?
So like, huge outlet.
Well, it creates the blood flow and oxygen right to your brain. It makes you just feel better as it is,
Yeah. Absolutely. So like, but I could see people resorting into alcohol or abusing. I'm not saying it's bad to drink. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
We all enjoy the occasional IPA.
Yeah. Listen, I had a guy get hit by a car yesterday. Literally.
Jesus.
And here I am doing CPR on the guy, and he didn't make it. Turns out to be somebody I went to. No, thank you. Turns out to be somebody I went to high school with his father. God rest his soul. But damn, like that night, I went home. I'm like, you think about it, but you don't think about it. But like, you're just like, it makes you just go. I remember going home. I hugged all my kids. I'm like, I love you guys.
Yeah.
They're like, what? I love you guys.
Yeah.
And now seeing the underlying thing of it, it's just like, literally. And then you watch this surveillance video of this poor guy, and here he is going to go pay his whatever water or tax bill. Now he is coming back around, and he didn't know his life was just about to end.
Yeah. Oh, it sucks.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, here this guy is. He's actually, here's more. This is really a curveball. I think his mother had passed away. So they were like mourning the loss of a relative, and here he goes out, comes back, doesn't make it home.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's just like, and what the shitty part is just like, that's that guy, that's his time, like, right? His time was up, I guess you could say, but or God wanted him then, however you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, then you think about it, it's like that could be any of us.
Yeah, it could be. And that's where it kind of brings you home.
Yeah, you just never know. It's completely out of control.
Yeah, and then I had 6 Miller Lights after that. It was
I
mean, it's pretty much water.
No, it is. It's like Coors Light. No, but you know what? That was a joke. But like, listen, at the end of the day, is that like, being able to talk about it or being able to, how to cope with that. And like, look, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, it's just that's what needs to be talked about.
And I guess, like with, I don't know if I chose a good time to start this podcast or a bad time, given policing and where we are in like America with regards to it. But like, you look and people see what happened in Minnesota with Derek Chauvin and the other officers and George Floyd. So,
yep.
The cop in me, getting beyond what actually happened, the cop in me wants to know, and the person who supports counseling in me wants to know, hey, if Officer Chauvin had all these things go on in his career, what opportunities was he afforded to unload that baggage? And it's not something that you literally like. I don't know how I'm gonna put this, but if you like, it's not a laundry bin where you just go dump it all in your bed after you're done with, if it's out of the dryer. It's something you have to peel back slowly, one thing at a time. So when you're unloading stress and everything, so it's like, it's what I guess that's the question that I have, is like, what opportunities did he have to unload all the stress that he's had throughout his career? It's just to help support him, I guess. But
yeah, no, you look at that. I mean, in any situation, I guess, right? When there's like something huge like that, or well covered, or whatever you say. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know really what's in people's heads. Like, listen, at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I look at it. And human beings are going to react. Yeah. So, we have the most, I think we have the best training in the world. Most of our departments. I can't say for all, because I think a lot of the situations you see resort back to training.
Yeah. Oh.
Where it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Or it could have been a bit more reform.
Do you guys in New Jersey have like a certain amount of training hours you have to hit a year?
Oh yeah.
What are your hours?
We're constantly being trained.
Okay.
We're constantly being trained, especially in Bergen County. We pride ourselves on our training. We're constantly getting quals, requals, constantly taking mental health things, constantly taking courses. We use Power DMS for a lot of our stuff.
What's your minimums though, if you have them?
Hours?
Yep.
You know what? Off the top of my head, I don't know, but we keep up regularly.
Man.
Yeah, no, we keep up regularly with it. Like, it's not something that's just, you do it once and then you forget about it.
You don't have those like select group of guys who are like, it's the end of the year, it's December, you guys got to go get in a class to get your minimum training hours.
It's literally like, this is what we do.
Well, that's a good thing, because I can tell you exactly what our minimums are every year, and that's 8 throughout the entire state. So every officer in the state of New Hampshire has to get a minimum of 8 continuing education hours. So that's going down to the academy or whatever whatever it is now with COVID going on. But
well, man, they do more than that here.
Yeah,
and they actually give you an opportunity to do even more if you want to do it, if we have the manpower permitting.
Yeah, with our PD, it was the same thing. It's as much as you can get manpower.
Yeah, schedule permitted. They were very good about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
but for us, we got to work on that. Like, I know for us, I know our patrol guys would like to go to more classes to help them with their patrol techniques or help out with this. And that's something that has to be worked out. Clearly we need more people to be able to accommodate that. But I think that our administration should look, and they've been told about this before, but should be able to make accommodations. It seems like they'll send you for important stuff. Like, if you want to go to DRE, you'll go to DRE. If you want to go to standardized field sobriety testing, you could go to that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll make exceptions for certain things that are going to better your career, but like, they're not going to send you to like date rape and designer drugs for the 5th time in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I understand that.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, there are some of those guys who just want to, like was Phil saying, it's the end of the year, I have to get my stuff in, and they go to those gentleman classes,
Yeah, but there's definitely, don't get me wrong, there's definitely room for improvement, to always improve training.
Yeah, if you're not training, then my thing is I don't know if you listen to Jocko Willink talk. I love Jocko and his podcast, but he thinks that police officers should be training 1/5 of every week. So of their 40 hours they work a week, they should be spending 1 day training, whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. Listen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Training's important.
Training's hugely important. Yeah. Now,
training is huge.
Now, Phil was telling me that you also man the PD's Facebook page, right?
I do. So, yeah. So, well, not just me. What I mean? We have our own PIO that does it. He does a very good job.
PIO, which is
Sergeant Metzler. He really does a great job doing it. He has an alternate PIO, Sergeant Macy's. He does a really great job.
Public Information Officer.
There we go. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, PIO. And so I approached the chief like almost, if you look on when we started our Instagram, that's basically when I asked him, I said, hey, chief, I said, with all due respect, I said,
we got to get on Instagram.
Yeah, we got it. I know we're on Twitter already. I don't do that. Sergeant Metzler does that. And I said, we should really get on there because we'll be able to connect with our youth. We'll be able to connect with our community. And it's just another outlet that we could really show that particular platform what we do and what we do for our community and how we do it. And, he gave me his blessing. And he's just basically like, look, don't mess up. And I come with a lot of experience because, I also do, I guess you could say, some moonlighting for a restaurant.
What do you do for the restaurant?
So I've done social media for them.
Okay, cool.
I done courses. It's something that I like doing. I enjoy doing. And no intention to get money for it. I just wanted to do it.
Maybe you can take over our Instagram and get some followers for us.
That's easy. No, I got. Listen, I'm gonna repost this on my personal one. So
awesome.
Hopefully it gets some listens. But yeah, no. Listen, at the end of the day, I did it to really better the community. If the community, if there's transparency in the community, you're gonna get support from your community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our community, out of many others, we're very tight. You know, our police are in our schools. Now, don't get me wrong. They're not there like how I've seen some articles. I just commented on something today. Actually, that made me sick to my stomach. Let me see if I can bring up the name just so I can call them out publicly here. One second.
Yeah, but you're right though. It's important to be transparent.
Yeah, no,
I think.
I'm still calling them out. Hold on one second. All right, so we got this guy here, Senator Murphy.
Okay. From
I don't even know, but he shouldn't even be a senator. I'm going to say Florida because
state senator
U.S.
we have
senator? Representative Presley, right? Who believe that the police officers should get out of the schools.
Like SROs entirely out of the schools.
Yeah.
Why?
So you're losing your safety in your schools, which they all preach about because we want a SRO in every school to protect against school shootings. And B, then those kids who don't have any positive contact with police officers don't see a police officer in the school and have a positive contact. Unfortunately, they get it at a domestic because their parents are fighting, unfortunately or whatever. That's,
if you've seen this stuff, it would make you sick to your
That's
stomach.
ignorant.
Actually, Phil, I'm going to send it to your Instagram right now. Kind of just look at it. Hold on. I mean, not your Instagram, your Facebook.
Yeah, it's like Phil was saying though. Then that kid is only going to have the interaction with law enforcement, be that negative at home when it's 11:30, 12 o'clock, probably earliest at night when the parents are going at it or whatever it is. Someone's drunk at home, and that's the only thing they're going to know from police is if that goes through is, hey, the cops take my parents away when they're arguing or something like that.
Of course. Well, listen, they're trying to they're spreading it a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're saying they have all this evidence that shows that these officers don't make our schools any safer. Listen, these people need a mental health check. Unfortunately, listen, they show videos, maybe one or two videos of an SRO having to get physical, or maybe in rare cases where officers have charged a student or do investigations in the school. Like, this is the furthest from the truth of what really happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
sure. And if you're an active shooter and you're going to choose to go shoot up a school, you're going to choose one that has an SRO at it? Nope.
Yeah. So these people are crazy. These two, they're nuts. They need to get some mental health checks, before they friggin', get these people. Oh my God. Like, listen, there's so many people against us now. Our school system, I'd say our relationship with the community has gotten so much better, even with kids. Like now, you kind of have a respect coming back. And listen, we're not to be feared.
No, not at all.
It's about learning respect. It's about working hand in hand. I mean, look, if you go to any one of these kids and you're like, oh, hey, what's going on? Oh, guess who's in our school? Oh, who's in your school? Oh, Officer Mike. Oh, yeah, what's Officer Mike do? Oh, every morning we get a high five. Every morning, he's sitting there with us eating at lunch. He's doing this, he's doing that. He asks how your day is going. Hey, he notices the kid that's maybe not sitting next to other kids and prevents bullshit from happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or he sees the kid getting picked on and helps him out. Or he, listen, there's so many variables. Not like these two mutts are talking about not having cops in schools. Chris Murphy and this other one, Presley, you can kiss my ass because you've never done anything. but whatever. I don't even know what you guys done. I've never even heard of them.
Yeah.
Until now. Now that I hear it, because I hear it on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
They could take their whatever. I don't know what kind of act they're trying to do. It's called the Counseling Not Criminalization in Schools Act. You know what that spells to me? You're not doing anything to help the United States of America. You're just causing more bullshit and tension. So
more divide, and that's the last thing we need right now.
Exactly. So take that shit walking. I hope you don't get elected again.
Yeah.
Hope people hear this shit and it gets out.
Yeah. No, it's in helping with that, helping build that social media, especially with the Instagram and the young kids. That brings it all around. So you have transparency within the police department. The people can see what you're doing. I think that with social media in law enforcement, there's that stigma that, hey, the officer is over at so-and-so right now. He's not doing any patrol. He's over there taking a picture. And that's not the reason for the photo or the post. The post is to show, hey, we're just like everybody else out there. We like what we do. We want to show it off because we're proud of what we do. We're proud in our agency, and that's why we want to be able to show off what we do. It's all, I can't remember the Latin term for being proud for what you are.
Esprit de corps.
Esprit de corps. There we go.
You're welcome.
And so
it's Marine Corps.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Phil. So, it's being proud in where you are in your agency, not only, but you're also just trying to build that camaraderie with the people, essentially, too.
Exactly. The people are gonna try and turn something negative about whatever you do, no matter what. And I think the general populace can actually see through that line and see that, exactly, you're a good person.
They do. You know what? They do. Honestly, they really do.
Like you, Lewis, I mean, I saw the lemonade stand post the other day, and I used to love going and stopping at a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
Because how good does that kid feel? You know what I mean? Like you got just change lying around in a car. Who cares?
Yeah, right in center console.
I mean, if you're working in Bergen County, you just got hundreds come on from the virus.
Sure, you know what I mean. Slide them a couple bucks. It does nothing but make you feel good, and you made those kids' day. They had a cruiser pull up to their stand, and you get to talk to them, and it feels great. And you're not out there for the publicity. You're out there to make that kid's day, and that's one of the best parts of your job. And if someone wants to try and paint a negative image on that, then shame on them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you guys allow officers to post to their own personal social media pages or anything like that?
So we have a policy, like any agency, we have policies. And of course, those policies are to prevent or to curb people's maybe posts that could be not so desirable.
Right,
You know what
I understand.
So listen, anything else is their design. But, for us, no, our administration really doesn't mind if you post. As long as there's nothing off color.
Yeah.
And as long as, exactly. I mean, common sense. Listen, first off, if you post stuff that are off color or post stuff that are totally, listen, you represent, we're held to a higher standard, right? So if you post stuff that is not conform to that standard, then you probably shouldn't be posting stuff, and you probably shouldn't, maybe be in your profession. But if you could post stuff that's good and that's, honest, and hey, listen, you could post stuff that creates conversation, but just be mindful that you represent your town, you represent your borough or whatever, your city, and you represent that patch that you wear. And essentially, if you post something, and if it gets blown out and it goes viral, however many people in your agency, that's who you quote unquote represented,
Yep. No, I understand. So, I think it's just be able, like I said, it's that esprit de corps where people have pride in where they work with the uniform that they're wearing, and they want to be able to show it off. And I think it's important that they do and they can be able to show it off, and it creates.
As long as you're not doing those stupid TikToks and
Hey, I downloaded TikTok just to watch the videos, and actually some of them are pretty funny.
And that's okay. No, there is some meaningful ones. I'm not gonna, I'm not discrediting TikTok, but the ones that are just, I'm sure you've seen the ones that I'm talking about.
Well, they're probably they're getting ready to ban it within the U.S.
Half of them I don't think are cops actually that are doing it.
No, exactly. But so I appreciate you coming on, Lewis. Is there anything else you want to mention or give a shout out to or anything like that?
You know what? Now looking back, no, seriously. Listen, I know we just went through a pretty crazy pandemic or whatever you want to call it. Especially in our town. Like I said, our town is really something different. I think we should be a role model for a lot of other towns and cities and states out there. Our community is something that I really pride myself in, or ourselves in. Listen, just everybody out there, be safe. Be safe, get home to your families. love each other, and I think we're gonna, get through all this stuff that we're in right now.
Yeah. Phil, do you have anything for him?
I just appreciate you, Lou, coming on and giving us a good perspective from a good community and a good officer who appreciates his community and wants to give back to it. I think that that's important, and I think that you are a role model of probably I think that is the main goal of most police officers out there, and that's exactly what they want to do, and I think you are a role model of that type of officer.
I appreciate that. Thank you, John. Phil, thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for having me.
I wish I could say it better than Phil, but I can't. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that for the closing. And I just wanted to put it out there. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, you can follow us on anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple iTunes, Spotify, Radio Public, Stitcher. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. If you listen to podcasts on another platform and it's not out there, let us know. We'll put it on there. Phil, do you care if they give us, bad or good ratings?
No, we don't care. We welcome everything.
Exactly. So just leave us a comment. Hey, we do want to put a good product out there, but leave us a comment. Rate us, please.
Help us get better.
Exactly. We are in 5 countries right now. Isn't that pretty cool?
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. So we're in the U.S. We just got our new listener in Sweden. We have a few in Brazil. Okay. The UK and India.
Hey, now we got one in Jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
That's its own country.
Jersey's our own country, man.
That's right.
Shout out all the countries here. Hopefully this time next week it'll be 10 more from that.
I hope so. If you guys like what you're listening to, you can also follow us on Instagram at Pointman Podcast, where you just post. Basically, I posted a picture the other day of the skeet tow over in Milan, New Hampshire, and something pretty cool. But we post pictures on there. You can interact with us. You can email us at Pointman Podcast. You can also send us any DMs. You can slide into the DMs and give us a wink or whatever it is. So for that, everybody, thank you, Louis, for coming on, man. It was really really good talking with you, and just
my pleasure.
Yeah. But,
thank you for having me again.
Thank you very much, sir. Phil, anything else?
All set.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.